I'm feeling a little nervous just because like I didn't script this video beforehand and I feel like I should have. Hello, my internet friends, welcome back to another video. So this has to be a common experience, right? Where you have a book. Maybe it's your favorite book, or maybe it's just a book that lives rent-free in your head and you have so many thoughts and feelings and opinions about it that you want to express with the world, but no one has read it. And so you could make a booktube video about that book and just vent about all these feelings, but you're just kind of venting to your future self. And so you're just moving through the world hoping that you will run into a kindred spirit, a soul that is also moving through the world thinking that they were in a fandom of one, and now they have found a fandom of two. And you know what? Sometimes you have to take charge. Sometimes you have to take your destiny into your own hands. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. And I am doing that right now. A couple of disclaimers. I understand that this book isn't for everyone, and I have made peace with that. But I want to talk to you about my favorite book, a book that has lived rent-free in my mind for 8 years, that I have had very few people to discuss it with. And it is called The Family Fang by Kevin Wilson. Long pause as she waits for anyone to recognize this title. I'm so sorry. I'm just so energetic because I'm like, you guys don't know this title. It's gonna drive me nuts. Actually, hold on. I do have the cover. I have the... Hold on. Okay, so don't worry about that. My bookshelf is falling. I should address that. 1 second. Ow! Motherfuck me. Ugh. Okay, now everything's fine. Don't worry about it. We're all good. Sorry, where was I? Okay, so here's my favorite book. It's called The Family Fang by Kevin Wilson. A little bit of backstory as to why this became my favorite book. So, when I was 20 years old, I talked about this on the channel before, the OGs will remember. So when I was a wee lass, when I was 20 years old, I was an intern for my professor who was an artist of sorts. And she had this studio space, which was in like a big building full of like other artists. In the center of that artist studio was a giveaway pile. It was trash, but because they were artists, it was always quirky, fun trash. God, I couldn't tell you what was there. It's all a blur. I remember there weirdly being a lot of furniture, but one day I found this book in the trash pile. You know, sometimes you want to be the main character of your own life story, so you're like, that sounds like a quirky, fun story for how to find a book, so I picked it up. It was just kind of like a low-risk situation. If I didn't like the book, it doesn't matter. I could put it back in the trash pile the next time I was working at the office. And if I had even like a mild enjoyment, like that's a quirky, fun story to attach to this book I found. But I ended up really loving it. It was just unlike anything I was reading at the time. At the time, I was, you know, a big fantasy YA dystopian nerd, and this book was just contemporary fiction. It was just so quirky and so odd and so like delightful that I couldn't stop reading it. And even afterwards, I couldn't stop thinking about this book. And over the next couple of years, it became like my comfort read. It became a book that I would return to during my quarter-life crisis when I was at like the height of feeling kind of like a deadbeat artist. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna fix the lighting real quick because I just feel like this lighting is really messing with me. 1 second. Okay, I apologize that there was no change to the lighting or a change that makes it worse. I don't know what I'm doing. So I had a lovely experience with the book, but also the story itself just stuck with me in a way I wasn't expecting. So lightly pitch The Family Fang to you. How I'm going to do this is that I kind of want to do it in sort of like a tiered spoiler sort of situation where I'm going to give you a whole like a spoiler-free pitch, I'm going to give you a mild spoiler pitch, and then I'm just kind of gonna ramble and see what happens. We're just gonna see where Unscripted Jay goes from there, you know, but I will include timestamps so it seems like there is a cohesive story. So to lightly pitch The Family Fang, it is about a family of performance artists who go into a public space like a mall or a park, and they cause a disruption. They cause something weird and wonderful to happen. It feels like they're kind of trying to create unique experiences that the people at the mall will remember for the rest of their lives, but in like a quirky, like, God, I wonder what that was about sort of way. They're kind of like a YouTube prank show, except they would make more money as a YouTube prank show. It's kind of unfortunate that they never went that route because they could be so much richer. That is the backstory for the two main characters we are following, who are the children of this family, Buster and Annie, who in their adult life have mixed feelings about their childhood. It wasn't the most stable environment, if you can imagine. So the book starts off as a character study of Buster and Annie exploring what their life is like now and what were the pivotal moments in their childhood that kind of informed not only their personalities, but their careers as artists, and also their debatably healthy coping mechanisms. I also love this book because it asks a lot of questions about what is art, what is the purpose of art, what are people willing to do in service of that art, and what is okay to do in service of your art. Is roping your children into your performance piece at the expense of their mental well-being worth it for the art? I just think that this book asks a lot of questions that you, by shared audience, would be interested in exploring yourselves. And that is my spoiler-free pitch of this book to you. Moving on to light spoiler territory, allow me to read to you just like a section of the book. I guess this is the appropriate place to put that. Okay, so this is a conversation where one of the kids, Buster, he's an adult now, is calling his parents because he is, to use his own words, in a bad way. "I'm in a bad way, Mom," he said. "Oh no, what's wrong, Buster?" "I'm in Nebraska," he said. "Oh, that is bad," she cried. "Why are you in Nebraska?" "Yeah, so I need your help. I got shot in the face and—" "What?" she shouted. "You got shot in the face?" "It's okay. It was a potato." "What was a potato?" Mr. Fang asked. "I got shot in the face with a potato," Buster said. I don't know. There's just something about the potato gun sequence that is just so amusing. This is an excerpt from a chapter called More Woe, a performance art piece by Caleb and Camille Fang. On the opening night of the Hazard County High School production of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Buster was going to play Romeo. His sister Annie was to play Juliet. Other than Buster, no one backstage seemed to understand that this was a problem. "Let me ask you something, Buster," said Mr. Delano, the high school drama teacher. "Have you ever heard of the phrase, 'the show must go on'?" Buster nodded. "Well," Mr. Delano continued, "this is the kind of moment for which that phrase was coined." I just love this scene so much. "I'm an actor, Buster," his sister said to him when he went to her dressing room. She stared at her reflection in the mirror and carefully brushed her hair. She looked to Buster as if she had been drugged or hypnotized. "I won't be kissing you," she continued. "I'll be kissing Romeo, my one true love." Buster spoke slowly, as if to a small child. "Yes, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is, while you're kissing Romeo, you will also be kissing me." Annie nodded, bored with the conversation, and Buster continued, dumbfounded that he was forced to elaborate. "You see, I'm your brother." Annie nodded again. "I understand what you're saying," she said, "but this is what actors do." "They make out with their siblings in front of a crowd of people?" Buster asked. "They do things that are difficult in service of their art," Annie responded. Also, can I just say, this scene plays out very funny, but I think it works because everyone seems to gaslight Buster into thinking that he's being a prude and it's not a big deal. But in retrospect, I have trouble believing that Annie wouldn't be equally upset and also be equally fighting back against the administration and whatever forces at work. But it is a fun scene. Also, you know, the siblings kiss. Grow up. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. It's very brief. You know how Luke and Leia have kissed once? It's kind of like that. It happened one time. They didn't want to do it. It was not Buster's and Annie's idea of a good time. I can actually read you the line. I think I'm gonna read to you the whole paragraph because another thing I'm noticing about Kevin Wilson is that he doesn't do iconic lines, but he does do just like iconic exchanges. My favorite lines of his involve like a slow burn as well to get there, and I feel like that's also indicative of enjoying his books. You kind of have to go through like a slow burn sort of phase before you get really into it. The crowd began to laugh, a thunderous clap of applause, and Buster stared at his sister's reddening face, embarrassed and angry at the same time, her eyes unblinking and watery. He had ruined it all. He understood that. And with the rudimentary tools he possessed, without any skill for fixing things, he leaned forward, pulling his sister towards him and kissed her so forcefully that it took her half a second before she responded. Two star-crossed lovers. It was soft and sweet and, except for the fact that it was his sister, everything that Buster had ever hoped his first kiss would be. So I've kind of come a long way because I used to be like kind of embarrassed to admit this was my favorite book because the siblings kiss in it. And now here I am reading the excerpt in which they do. Was any of that convincing enough to get you to read the book now? Any of it? Another thing is that I think that whether or not you like the book, we will have interesting things to talk about. I shared this with two people on BookTube, and one person liked it, the other person didn't. But both of those conversations were just so stimulating. It was unlike anything I'd ever felt before. So I'm being the change I want to see in the world. Please read this book. If you're intrigued at all, we can banter about it. We can collab about it. Do you need a collab idea? Let's talk about the Family Fang together. That's my pitch to you. God, I hope that Editing Jay pull something good together. You know, when we let Unscripted Jay take the wheel, sometimes she does great. Sometimes she has very fun, authentic reactions to things. And that makes for a great video. Another time she kind of like makes my job harder because she just kind of like follows her brain wherever it takes her instead of sticking to like a cohesive outline. So we're gonna see which path this takes in editing. But anyway, I hope for the love of God that I've convinced you to at least try The Family Fang, because I can't take it anymore. I want to be able to talk about this book with more people, and also I think that some of you would like it. It's definitely going to be different in the sense that no one else has heard of it except for me and Rosica. And V from Sassy Library Fox, she did tell me that she's heard of it, but she hasn't read it yet. I'm just saying, you don't have anything to lose, you know? Like, there's probably not even a line at the library. The barrier to entry is so low. And if you don't like it, that's also fine. You know, I'll still watch your video. So I hope that pitching was useful. I hope that this yields the results I want to in 2024. But in any case, you know, if you made it this far to this pitch, thank you for watching. I know that this video is probably not gonna do well, so I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you stick around for the next video. Okay,